Welcome to today's watercolor landscape tutorial as we head to the Amalfi coast in Italy to paint the beautiful town of Ravello. You can download my free sketch in the description along with a list of the materials used in this video. I start with a wash of clear water down to the sea level, and then I come in with a wash from the top of Windsor Blue. Using here a number 10 rounded brush with a nice point to it. Then I'll do the ocean using the same method. You can put some water on first, this time up to the sea level, and then use the Windsor Blue color, still using a number 10 brush. Just carefully painting around the building structures and the coastline. When you lay that wash of clear water first, it helps you lay on your pigment, and it means that you have a better chance of not going over the edge of structures, etc., because the pigment will fuse with the water and up to those structures on the coastline. And remember in here that the ocean is real deep blue in color, so we will strengthen that up as I'm doing now. This is a beautiful part of the coastline in Italy. Has been painted many times by artists over the years because it has dramatic views from high up, and they're very interesting with beautiful buildings and nice coastline, and very colourful. So here I am now strengthening that ocean even more, using the same process as we did first of all, just making it a much deeper pigment. And now I'm avoiding the branches and limbs of the trees, one tree. This is a wet in wet situation, so we can achieve the strength of colour that we need. Here laying in the trunk of the tree and the various limbs, and the sun will be shining from our right. So everything on the right side will be light and then darker on the left side. Now you can use the side of the brush scraping technique, still with your number 10. Put a light colour for the foliage of the tree first. You could use Windsor yellow and permanent sap green at this stage. And this tree foliage does come right down to the ocean level in the far distance at the horizon. As always, start lighter and go darker, and please remember to like and subscribe. It's all free. I'll notify you of future tutorials if you do so. Now you can gradually start to strengthen the foliage. You can add some more Windsor Blue to your mixture to make that darker, and start at the bottom section of the foliage that is in shadow because of the direction of the sunlight, and that will be strengthened up even more as we're doing now. And you can use a sided brush and you can stipple. This is wet in wet, so it's all fusing together nicely, and it's much more realistic that way, the finished result. Obviously, the most difficult part of this painting is the building structures, to make sure that they're correct, and that you get the shadows on them correctly, etc., which we'll come to later. So that is a principal tree well known to the area. So it's important to have that in this picture. Then on the distant headland, you can lay in the green, first of all, a light colour, like we did before for the foliage on the tree. And in the far distance, there is a further headland beyond where I'm painting now, which we've made a bluey colour because it's the most distant and it recedes. When we come down to the water's edge, there are various properties down there, and you'll see us indicate those, not laboriously paint them in, but we'll indicate them. There'll be little light areas and little shadows here and there. Then wet in wet again taking place for the distance there. As you can see, this number 10 brush can be used a great deal at these stages of the painting. You will see links if you're interested in purchasing these paints, paper, brushes, etc. You can click on those links to take you to sites. Once again, this is wet in wet and stippling it, side of the brush and stippling to fuse it together and make it look realistic because it's light and dark and so forth, rather than one mass of green. And once that's dried, we'll strengthen that up even more, indicating various trees and bushes, as we've done there with a darker colour. The roof of this structure has a nice orangey tone to it. You can use Scarlet Lake and Windsor Yellow to achieve that. And here I've gone to a much smaller brush. You can use something like a number 6 or a 4. Then for your shadow colour on the top of the buildings there, because they're white structure, you can use a grey, and they can do Windsor Blue with a tiny amount of red. You could use light red, something like that, to get your shadows. There is going to be a nice laid out garden in the foreground at the bottom there, which we'll come to later. For that large area, coloured area on the left, I've used alizarin crimson, and I've got a light stippled wash of it first of all, and then that will be strengthened up later. And then next to it is an orangey type bush, which I've laid in, as you can see. So those various gaps that we have here of the white paper and the light areas will receive some green colour to show foliage. That area on the left is a large flowered area. Now, using the side of the brush technique and stippling here and there to fill in those areas, and just building that up and gets darker and darker, and then your alizarin crimson can be darker still once it's dried as shown. There are various paths where these flower beds are laid out, and so you can use yellow ochre with a combination of Windsor yellow for those path areas. Once again, you can use your number 10 brush for this part of the painting. You just need to study the layout of those paths to get them correct. And there is this pool right in the middle with a little fountain. which we'll be showing you later. And that is surrounded by various shrubs and flowers as well. So lots of red flowers here, and you can lay those in and stipple them and scrape them in and so forth, and we'll give them more definition later. And of course, the various greens will be coming into. So it's taken shape. I think it's looking quite convincing and realistic. We're getting towards the end of the painting. Going to drop in some more of those greens to emphasize the contrast in those various flower beds. And the pool needs to be darkened more as we're doing now. And remember to like and subscribe and make comments and suggestions because we welcome those. So there's the little fountain area structure added to the middle now of that. And I'm laying in some shadows now, bearing in mind, like I said, the sun's from our right, casting shadows to the left. So each of those shrub areas have got the shadow. Also, there's a little shadow on the water around the fountain area where the bushes overhang. And here is a finished painting. I hope you've enjoyed that. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.